It's pretty much what if? What if the Dallas Cowboys had a pretty potent offense? Sorry, not a pretty potent offense, but a pretty potent defense. What if the Cowboys defensively were maybe middle of the pack instead of dead last? This team could compete for the Super Bowl. Dak Prescott, again, as I iterated last week, is playing the best football, I think, since his rookie year. Yes, it is better than his finished second MVP voting year back in 2022. I think he's playing better than that. This is the best the run game has looked in a very long while. The offensive line play has been phenomenal. And don't even get me started with Brian Schottenheimer and the type of scheme him and Clayton Adams, they have just done wonders for the offense of my Dallas Cowboys. And through 5 weeks, the Dallas Cowboys currently, if I'm 100% correct, have the number one offense in the NFL. Dak Prescott is second in the NFL in pass yards. Javonte Williams is second in rush yards. George Pickens is second in receiving touchdowns. Jake Ferguson is second in receptions. Brian Schottenheimer is getting everyone involved. This is something we didn't see with Mike McCarthy. They were very CD reliant. And going into this game, a lot of people were saying, oh, granted, we had one starting offensive tackle start yesterday from our regular starting five. And he is arguably, and I can agree to this, I don't even think it's an argument, he is the weakest link on our offensive line in Terrence Steele at right tackle. So you had Nate Thomas at left tackle. You had Brock Hoffman at center, who was very good. TJ Bass at right guard, if I'm not mistaken. Left guard was Adenji. So you had 4 guys. And a lot of them were undrafted free agents and 7th round picks on the O-line. And it looked like they didn't miss a beat yesterday. Dak Prescott was surgical. His stats do not knock you off your feet. If I'm looking at, he was 18 for 29. His completion percentage wasn't really high. He was at 237 yards, but he had 4 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Did not turn the ball over. Played super efficient. Javonte Williams, 8.5 yards a carry. Brian Flournoy, everybody talking about CeeDee Lamb's being out, and this is a very frustrating thing when I see a lot of mass media. Granted, not a lot of these people are not married to the Dallas Cowboys like I am. I dissect this team. I consume them. I know them like the back of my hand. And I knew a lot of these players have potential that are playing well for the Dallas Cowboys. When it comes to O-line, Javonte Williams, Jayden Blue, he's going to get his chance soon. And this guy here, Ryan Flournoy. A lot of people were like, oh, CeeDee Lamb's out. I knew George Pickens was going to ball. Ryan Flournoy, a guy who I've been advocating for as the wide receiver 4 or 3. I think he's better than Jalen Tolbert. I think he's potentially going to be better than Mingo. And he had a coming out party yesterday. Flournoy had 114 yards. Put this into perspective, ladies and gentlemen. Let's compare that to the Philadelphia Eagles and A.J. Brown. In one game, Flournoy had more yards than what A.J. Brown has had in 4 out of the 5 games that A.J. Brown's played in. Maybe 3 out of the 5. That is what Ryan Flournoy did in his game yesterday. And now let's move on to the defense. We know we can glaze the offense, but we know the reason why that we cannot truly jump onto the Cowboys bandwagon, so to speak, and call them Super Bowl contenders or an elite ball club is because of the defense. Now, I think the defense took a step forward yesterday. Why? Because they finally were able to get somewhat resemblant of a pass rush. If I'm seeing mistakenly here, I don't think I can look up the team's pressures. I might have to go by the box score defensively. I don't know how many pressures they had, but as a unit, they had 5 sacks yesterday. That was pretty good. That's a massive upgrade than what we're used to and what the Dallas Cowboys have been doing. James Houston getting back there. James Houston, he had 2.5 sacks himself, if I'm not mistaken. James Houston, sorry. Yes, he had 1.5 sacks. I think on the year he has 2.5. That's the stat I saw because they were trying to compare him to Micah Parsons. And Dante Fowler, he felt like he's been pretty mediocre to bad all year. He's not lived up to really what I thought he was going to be, given the type of year that he had last year with Washington. But he finally showed up and acted like he knew how to play football all of a sudden. He lived in the backfield yesterday. Kenny Clark, he got him a half sack yesterday. Osa got him a sack, and Sam Williams. Sam Williams got a sack. Sam Williams, he's another one who has struggled pretty mightily so far this year, and he actually played pretty well. They didn't do the best job stopping the run. Breece Hall averaged 8.5 yards a carry. That is something that I wasn't pleased with. They did not play the run really well yesterday. But you got to give the Cowboys defense credit. I've watched the Jets a couple times this year. I think their O-line is a little better than advertised, even though they lost a player like Vera Tucker, who was supposed to be an elite type guard for them. I thought the Jets, specifically in their run game, they've been able to run the ball pretty well, and that was very evident yesterday because they dominated the Cowboys yesterday in their run game. Breece Hall, it felt like when Breece Hall was touching the ball, he was going to get 5+ yards to carry. So that wasn't a good thing to see for the Dallas Cowboys. But passing wise, in their pass game, I think they played well because the Achilles heel for the Dallas Cowboys has always been running quarterbacks. And this was the reason why I didn't think this game was going to get so out of hand like it did, because historically the Cowboys never play well in MetLife Stadium when it just with the Jets. Now with the Giants, Dak owns the Giants, but historically when they play the Jets, they don't play well at MetLife. And another reason why they don't do well with mobile quarterbacks. We've seen that so far this year with Jalen Hurts and Caleb Williams. And then we go into this game, I'm like, Justin Fields. And this was a little downgrade on the Jets side of things. They did not have hardly any designed quarterback runs for Justin Fields at all, which was very shocking to me. But even with that, the Cowboys did not let Justin Fields scramble. Even on that 4th down call near the end of the game, Donovan Ezeraku did a good job setting the edge, and Maurice Leafau was the spy, and they get off the field on 4th down. So there was a lot of promising things that we saw from the Dallas Cowboys. Now, next week, we got another tune-up game. This is going to be a good opportunity for the defense to continue to get better at certain aspects of the game. And I also like the personnel. Shamar James had 15 tackles. Jake Sanborn, granted, we don't wish injury on anybody, but he got hurt in the game, so that gave a chance for Shamar James to really show his talent, because we know when it comes to the Dallas Cowboys and position players, it's been political on the defensive side of the ball. Someone like Wanye Thomas, who I thought should be the starting safety, he's been able to get some play now that Malik Hooker's been injured. So, and yesterday he looked like he played very well. And same thing with Jake Sanborn. He gets injured, even though I don't wish injury on anybody. He's only got a concussion, so he will be fine. But now we were able to see Shamar James, who is a rookie that you drafted and is somebody that you want to see get playing time, because that part of the defense needs speed and it needs tackling. And that is something that Shamar James was able to provide. DB play, it was okay. There was a couple of plays where Diggs, specifically early on the 4th down call, I think it might have been in the second half. I don't know. But you send a blitz, and, you've been complaining about, there was reports that went out this week about Trayvon Diggs and what went on last week. And Trayvon Diggs was like, I want to play more man coverage. And yet, the one time Eberflus calls an all-out blitz, man coverage, the ball's got to come out quick. And yet, you're playing 10 yards off the receiver, and the receiver runs a 3-yard hitch and just catches the ball on you. It's stuff like that. I mean, I thought the DBs played okay. But that's the Dallas Cowboys point of everything. The way the Jets have looked, they're the only team right now who is winless. Put that into perspective. So if you're the Dallas Cowboys, you could not ill afford to lose that game, given your schedule coming up after you face the Carolina Panthers. After the Carolina Panthers, your season is an absolute gauntlet. And I mean gauntlet. So you needed that big signature win so you can move to Carolina, get to 3-2-1, and hopefully try to make a way for a playoff push. Now, let's move to the Jets. Guys, the Jets are awful. They're just bad. I feel bad for Justin Fields. I don't think Justin Fields played particularly bad yesterday. He was 32 for 40. He dropped back and threw the ball 46 times. And he didn't turn the ball over. He had 2 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. Let me make sure, but I don't think he turned the ball over. The one turnover came from Breece Hall and the fumble, and I stand correct. Granted, there was a couple of occasions to where Justin Fields threw inaccurate balls, but ultimately, I don't think Justin Fields offensively was set up for success. I don't understand how they have their best drive of the day on the very first drive, and after that, it felt like they could get nothing going on offense. Garrett Wilson, he got 71 yards on 6 catches and a touchdown. Breece Hall was able to run the ball well. And a lot of people have been saying this. Let's pivot over to the defensive side of things for the Jets. You know, they've been very disappointing, and this is something that I've been, and I wrote down on my notes. I don't understand how they're so bad on defense, and you hired a head coach like Aaron Glenn, who was supposed to be the defensive guru, and he had very much success in Detroit, and he has not been able to translate that to New York. Quentin Williams was a no-show yesterday, and I know a lot of people like Cowherd and Shannon did last night on Nightcap has been pretty much shading Sauce Gardner so far, and they're like, oh, Sauce Gardner hasn't been the same since his rookie year. Yes, that's true, and a lot of them were saying he didn't play well yesterday. I thought Sauce played pretty good yesterday. He just gave up that one bomb to George Pickens where it was a bad play. George Pickens got a free release and just ran right past Sauce Gardner and just got beat over the top. That was pretty bad on Sauce Gardner's part. But overall, I thought he covered George Pickens pretty good because George Pickens, for the majority of the game, was a no-show. George Pickens only caught 2 balls. So I think Sauce played pretty good. But, you know, the defense has been super disappointing. They've been giving up a lot of points. And granted, the Cowboys are a good offense, but you gave up 37 points to the Cowboys with a team who are down 4 of their starting offensive linemen. They don't have their number 1 player on offense in CeeDee Lamb. And you allow them to absolutely destroy you. Same thing with Tua and the Dolphins last week. The Dolphins, Carolina held them to 24 points. The Jets are just bad. And when watching the game, I think that Justin Fields and Garrett Wilson is really your own bright spots, even Breece Hall. But, you know, the Jets have had some fumble problems the last couple games. The penalties are so bad. And Aaron Glenn, he said it in his post-presser. He's saying, and one of the main talking points that he had was like, yes, we have to get better at getting rid of penalties. And yet he goes into this game and there were just so many back-breaking penalties, holdings, false starts, illegal formations. It was just all around atrocious. And there was an appalling stat that came out today. I don't think I saved it, but it was pertaining to the Jets. And it was just comically bad. It said something like the Jets were the first team in the era to lose by like double-digit points. It was something in regards to that nature. And it's not a good day for Aaron Glenn. It's not. I mean, your team for the first 4 weeks, you've played close. Even week 1, you should have honestly won the game against the Steelers. And you had people like me like, oh, the Jets could be pretty good. And now you're on 5. It feels like the season is over with. It's just the Jets are just bad. New York sports period are just bad. And I don't know where they go from here. But to end things off, let's just finish talking about my Cowboys. I'm not about to sit here and, go on a whole tangent about, oh, my team's phenomenal, blah, 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 blah. No. The Dallas Cowboys still have a lot of work to do. And their schedule is not going to get easier. I think I don't want to get so happy about the defensive performance because this offense is absolutely atrocious. They aren't set up to succeed. If you got Justin Fields dropping back 46 times to pass, you're going to lose no matter what type of defense you play because that is not Justin Fields' game. And I feel like the offense is, and again, I'm a harp about it, the offense is Super Bowl caliber. But the defense they have so many holes. Yesterday, there was many instances they still couldn't get off the field on 3rd down. They're not athletic enough at linebacker. They're depleted at corner. And it's just the multitude of things to where it's pretty much a what-if season. What if the Dallas Cowboys had a middle-of-the-pack defense and had this same exact offense? They would be phenomenal. But sadly, they don't have a middle-of-the-pack defense. They have bottom half of the league type defense. And are the Cowboys contenders in the NFC? Right at this moment, no. Because I have to see more. In a couple of weeks when they play the Commanders and face that offense with Jayden Daniels, maybe we can talk. But I enjoyed the Cowboys game. And I think they're going to win next week. They're going to get 2-3, 2-1. And I think at home against the Commanders, they have a good shot of winning.